You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker. This is episode 143 of the show, and we have a special guest with us, so we'll have an interview this time with an old friend of ours, and I want to introduce everybody here that's here with us. We have Mr. Tom Crine.
Hey guys.
We have Mr. Michael Birch.
Hey guys.
And we have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
Hey guys.
Yeah. The soft-spoken crew. Yeah, very lovely. All right, let's, hopefully they can find their inside voices and help us with getting some ads out of the way. Sean, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who's headed over to Patreon and donated to us. You guys keep the lights on, you keep the mics moving, you keep our equipment current, and hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll be able to maybe do a little field trip or something and share it with you guys because of your generosity. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't, please consider heading over to patreon.com and donating $1 or $2 every month. We'd certainly appreciate it. And that's, you just head over to patreon.com, search Mark of the Maker, and get square. And if you want to help us out on the free, just like, rate, and review, maybe subscribe, and that helps get us in the algorithm. It helps get us in front of more people, and that just helps us do more of the Lord's work, y'all. Thank you.
I love when Sean talks about the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. It makes me feel shitty, but
I like it when he talks about this algorithm.
Yeah, right. He's heavy into algorithm manipulation at the moment, so I can completely understand why.
Dude. Okay, on an aside.
Oh, geez.
Okay, TomEatsPoop.com is available.
I did confirm in a quick search.
Tim Simcoe, one of our listeners, sent me verifiable proof that it is available, and also that GoDaddy thinks it is a great website name.
A great website name.
Yes.
Purchasing now.
Right. That is fantastic.
Whoever you are, appreciate you, listener.
Can I buy it and then sponsor the show with it?
There you go. Yes, then Tom has to read an ad about TomEatsPoop.com. Go there to get your special free poop comp.
That's where I was going.
There's a part of me that wishes I'd never started this, and then there's the part of me that has no regrets whatsoever.
No, none.
Yeah, stomping on the gas pedal, both feet.
Hey, if a snowball gets momentum of its own, I have no control over it.
Hey, that's right.
Right.
It's organic.
Yeah.
Just like poop.
Just like poop. Yeah, exactly. It's an organic material.
Where
Zing!
My thought process went.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks to our friends on Patreon. You are our primary source of support to get this thing done. We appreciate you. Sorry about the sidebar.
Yeah, my bad. But if you didn't expect it, what the fuck are you listening?
Yeah, well, they know by now. They're in on it. Tom, you're up.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to our friends over at Giant Mouse. They make a lot of cool stuff. You should check it out. It is hunting season coming up, and I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite knives that they do. I thought enough about it to buy it. Ben thought enough about it to steal it. So it's a pretty sexy knife, pretty popular. It's orange. It's got a lot of belly, perfect for hunting. Also works really nice as an everyday carry knife. So yeah, check out their stuff. Highly recommend them. Good people. Giantmouse.com.
Good folks. They've been sponsoring giveaways and stuff. So if you're not in our Facebook group, you might want to get in there. If you're in our Patreon that Sean talked about just a minute ago, there's another knife. They always send us two, one to give away to our patrons and one to give away to our Facebook group. You are eligible to win both if you're in our Patreon. So yeah, very kind of them to hook us up on the regular.
Mm-hmm. And we also like to thank our good friends at ArizonaCustomKnives.com. We mention them all the time during some of our research and picks episodes. So they've been very good to us and been sponsoring us for quite a while now. And as usual, we like to pick one up off the front page. It looks like there were some Bagwells that got added. But this Lum Tanto is the business. It's the quintessential, just awesome, fantastic 10.5-inch blade, micarta handle, the little divot in the back. And, if you do Mark of the Maker exclamation mark, you get free shipping. So that's just a deal right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You lose money if you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. 10.5-inch Tanto. That's a nice size.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
with free shipping, some of it's free, right?
Yeah.
It's like free.
Yeah,
That's a
pretty
fair
much.
point.
Yeah.
Talking me into it. You never know
Mhm.
what's going to happen over here.
Never know what you're going to find. Could be a fog. you just never know.
That's
Oh,
right.
Could be, huh? Could be a fog.
It could be.
At a great price, too, huh? Cool.
Could be.
Almost free again. Yeah.
It could be. Hey, and if they have something that you see and you really like and you want to negotiate a little bit, sometimes they're open to that. So shoot guys at Arizona a little note with what your offer is on a piece, and maybe you can work something out. Michael, how many knives do they have on Arizona Custom Knives?
243,000 knives currently.
That seems a little low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm contractually required by Andrew to say that's not the right number, but it's a lot.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever.
A really lot, as an old boss of mine used to say. Let me transition here. Thanks, Michael. And thanks to Arizona for sticking with us for a long, long time.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. So tonight we have, I called him an old friend a couple times. Tom said maybe that was mean. I don't think it's mean. He's my age. I can call him old.
He's
but
been a friend for a long time.
He's been a friend for a long time. That's the best way to say it.
And he is old.
Keep
It's
digging.
a rough crowd.
Oh my God.
Keep digging. It's a friend of ours for a long time from USN and all around that kind of time frame. Many of you will know him from those days as Farmer Rob. We have our friend Mr. Rob Baptie on the show with us tonight. Welcome, Mark of the Maker, Rob.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh,
Glad
the
you're here.
cheers erupt. Yeah.
Great fan.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with us, man.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Been a while. I mean,
You talking to me?
40 some fucking odd episodes. I mean, you finally get around.
Finally get around to inviting Rob.
Yeah, buddy. No, it's good.
Yeah. So Rob's got an interesting story. I want to talk a little bit about Rob's background and where he grew up and stuff, because it's a very pretty part of the country, and I think it's interesting. And then we'll talk about some of the stuff Rob's been involved with, kind of probably somewhere in here we're inevitably going to get into how the five of us met one another and kind of got involved in a project that exploded into something ridiculous. Is that a fair word, Rob?
Totally fair.
Totally fair.
Yeah, unfair.
Yeah. And for folks that know Rob and what he's been involved with for the last several years, you will be very familiar, but we'll get to that in a bit. But let's talk first, Rob, about where you grew up, man. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Your mom, I think, is from Britain, if I remember right.
Yeah. My mom's from South End on Sea, Sussex. Yeah, from down low, and so came over on a war bride ship back in the day, right? The Aquitania, right? The sister ship to the Lusitania.
Wow.
Immigrated through Newfoundland and into Canada, and then kind of waited around. And my grandfather was looking for a job with. I think he ended up at MGM. He was a radio guy in World War II, and so we knew about transmission and radio transmission, and I think they kind of moved all of that into television. So yeah, my mom immigrated over, and yeah, we ended up in Southern California in Manhattan Beach, and met my dad, who was fresh out of the Marine Corps, and they eventually got married, and I was born in Santa Monica, California, for those of you that kind of know SoCal, Santa Monica and Venice. And so I went to elementary school and middle school in Redondo Beach, California, and then ended up in 8th grade in high school in Bishop, California, which is in the kind of Eastern Sierra part of California, right below Mammoth, which is a pretty worldwide known ski resort. Had the most snow in the world 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, so it's grew up kind of going to that Eastern Sierra side of the mountains and high desert and fishing like the Owens and Crowley Lake and all the way up to like Bridgeport and Walker and Convict for the outdoor guys. And really that's kind of what got me into knives when I was a kid. Like when we start talking about the start of this show, if we go all the way back to like episode 107, where you guys are talking about 5 knives that, got you into knives and stuff, I couldn't believe that I didn't hear a buck 110. Like where the fuck did you guys grow up that didn't have a fucking buck?
Right.
You're naming these esoteric freaking knives that even I had to go and I don't have Knives Digest anymore because I sent them to Michael like 20 years ago. But, but a buck 110 was like the dream knife that you saw at the hardware store with those big, brass bolsters. And
yeah.
But the other knife that I couldn't believe I didn't hear, just given the fact that we were all as kids kind of grew up fishing and stuff, was the Rapala fillet knife.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I still have the scar on my on my forefinger from the Swedish, surgical steel that, those things were fucking sharper than an X-Acto knife. And, your grandfather, your dad tossed you one to skin one of those first trouts. And so, yeah, so those were the knives that kind of got me into knives. And I just figured I needed to right the ship on the,
there you go.
The 5.
Correct the balance.
Buck 110. So yeah, went to high school in Bishop and, had a super exciting time being a surfer kid up in a big high desert mountains with all these kids that are looking at me like I was an alien wearing OP shorts.
That guy. Yep.
Yeah, what the fuck are you wearing? And,
hey Rob,
yeah,
I'll interrupt just for a second. How did your family get from Newfoundland to SoCal? That's kind of a crazy move.
So so Newfoundland was, we've heard of Coney Island, right? And right. So Newfoundland was a immigration center. And my grandmother's sister was living in, what's farther east, Quebec or Toronto. But anyway, was living, in Eastern Canada. And so my grandmother and my grandfather went to stay with them. And then the fast track on the immigration piece was that if you bought property in the States, you kind of shifted from lane B to lane A. And so, yeah, that's what brought them in.
Okay.
I kind of, yeah. And so my grandfather ended up at MGM and stuff. And so my mom, through high school, had an MGM lot pass and got to see all the kind of, all those, Germans, Brits, all those guys had a fascination with the West because there's no like deserts really in Europe. So
yeah,
to see these, high deserts in cowboy films was a big deal. And so when we moved to Bishop, that's where a lot of those movies were filmed in the Eastern Sierra from this area called Lone Pine, which is maybe a couple hours outside of Los Angeles up Highway 395. And when we would go to breakfast in the morning, my mom would be like, look, there's Tom Crine. He was in, fucking Saddles of the West and Indian Hunt and da-da-da. And I'd be like, shut up. And so, it only takes one or two times where you walk over and you're like, hey, mister, are you Tom Crine? Were you in, were you in Saddles of the West? And you'd be like, how the hell did you know that? And so I'm still the same person I was when I was a little kid. I was like, well, my mom's got a crush on you and wants to make out. So can you go over and say hi? I would say all this crazy shit. These old guys would get a kick out of it. And then they would come over and give my mom a hug and be like, how the hell do you know who I am? And yeah, it was super, super, super odd.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Bishop Rob and I have talked about Bishop a bunch, and because I am a little familiar with that area from doing desert tests for work and over the years, and it is gorgeous in Bishop. But I think it's one of those things where, like you said, the mountains are like immediately in front of you to the west, right? Like a wall.
Like a wall, literally a wall. The
Yeah.
tallest mountains, Charlotte, Colorado, the tallest mountains.
Yeah.
Mount Whitney is down by Lone Pine, is the tallest mountain in the continental U.S.
Yeah.
14, whatever. And Colorado has more 14s, but we had the biggest. And so, yeah, you're literally growing up in the shadow of the Sierra. So, like, if you look at it, if you look at the map of the U.S. and you're looking at Nevada, and as Nevada kind of points to California and makes that kind of almost triangle on the left hand side, it literally, that triangle points at Bishop. And it's a high desert. It's 4,500 feet. And when you leave Bishop, it just goes up. And so you leave Bishop and you go up to Mammoth. I think Mammoth Mountain's, 8,400 or something like that. And I think the top of the mountain's like 92, 98. Like it's up there.
Yeah. And then you take a hook to the left and go into Yosemite, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it goes into Yosemite, which is literally one of the most picturesque parks in the whole U.S. And it was just culture shock, to be a kid who grew up on the beach and was just getting into surfing and had gone to junior lifeguard camp and the high school. I literally lived across the street from the high school and grew up swimming and diving in their pool, and the coaches would tease me like, hey man, when you come to high school, come to high school now. Cause I had zero fear in diving and jumping off of things. And, they had it. You can look the school up. It's Maricosta High School. They're like literally one of the top 10 high schools in the U.S. and lots of programs, tennis and swimming and water polo and surfing and academically but I didn't get to go to school there. I moved to Bishop in the mountains. And it was culture shock.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things I think where this is the case. I have some family that lives in Colorado. I have some family in Aspen, right? It's like everybody gets sick of wherever they live, no matter how stunningly fantastic it is, right? To someone from the outside, or people in Hawaii or whatever, right? It's like, oh, fuck me, I want to get out of here. And that's what always struck me about talking about Bishop to Rob is it's like, dude, I've been to Bishop a bunch of times. It's gorgeous there. But yeah, when it's different than what you were into, and certainly that kind of time in your life, right, is hard anyway. It's always awkward, weird, and you're rebelling against stuff and whatever. It's just tough.
I hit 17. I went in the military. I actually signed up for the military when I was 16 and just needed to put some distance between me and everything that was in California.
Yeah.
So, went in the Air Force right out of high school and, went overseas, went to Okinawa, was great. And then my father got sick and had cancer. And so they moved me what they thought was going to be closer here to where I live now in Merced. And there was a base that used to be here, Castle Air Force Base, was a B-52 training base and a KC-135, like a air refueler base. And so I finished out my military time here right after Desert Storm and married a local girl. And here I am, still here. Drives me crazy. Just does. She knows it. I'm not saying anything out of hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask that question. Andrea, she's a Merced native.
Yeah, so there's a little town just up from Merced where the base was called Atwater, California, and that's where she had gone to high school and stuff. And so, but we live and worked in Merced, and she's run a bank, a series of banks, credit unions here for, good Lord, 30
long time.
33 years, 34 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think right after, just as I was getting out, she went to work for the old Castle Credit Union, Travis Credit Union, and still does, and at one time managed 5 of them. And was like a regional supervisor, and now she's got Merced, and yeah, here we are.
So one of the this might be coming along later on, so we can skip it if you want and come back later. But so I know it. Did you end up actually buying a tug from Castle, like the little tractor looking thing?
I have not bought a tug.
Okay.
I have had lots of things. I had a 64 C10 that a lot of people saw that I had painted literally mil spec OD green. And, I did the old Strategic Air Command, the old SAC logo used to be an iron fist holding lightning bolts and laurels.
Yep.
And I had a friend of mine that was an artist, and yeah, he did so we made a Castle Air Force Base Speed Shop logo for the doors, and I had a kid that was a kid that Kuwait was like he was a tagger. He was like a graffiti artist. Had come back to the States. This is super crazy. I met this kid. They caught him tagging the big cement barriers, around their fob.
Oh wow.
And the Army ended up shipping those things back to his base. And he would paint, like people would request him as retirement gifts and stuff to have him. He would paint these little like mini murals on them and stuff. And so that was the kid that ended up logoing out my green Air Force truck and pinstriping it and stuff into the logos. But he had a super, like, what a great backstory. Like you go off to, Iraq and do your service stint, and somebody catches you tagging a freaking wall, and it turns into your gig while you're there. They pulled him out of the kitchen. I think he was a cook, and they pulled him out of the kitchen, and he started painting murals for all these units.
That's far cooler than I would expect the Army to be about that.
Yeah,
or the Air Force or anybody.
You and me. I'm just surprised it wasn't dicks, and they're like, "Oh,
wow, that's artistic." I'm sure there was their fair share of dicks, Michael. Just like the pictures he used to send me.
Too fun.
Yeah.
So the tug was always an idea, just never something that you actually ended up doing.
No, and I've looked for them over the years. I've looked for like the SR-71 start cards that had the two 454s, in line and stuff. I'd like to find one of those. It's great. They go quick because there's lots of dumbasses like me that want to hot rod one out. And
right.
So, yeah.
Have you actually seen one for sale?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If you get on those depot auctions, where like you would see like the Humvees and stuff, you see them now and then,
I mean, how many did they have? Like 10 total, maybe? I mean,
oh, you talking about for the SR start cards for the nose parts? Oh, yeah. Those are much harder to come by, but they're out there. I've seen one. I saw one oddly enough, I saw one at a car show in the Bay Area, kind of out by where Traverse Air Force Base is, where they had the Habu tank. They had a pair of those SRs out there years and years ago. And they're
very cool.
Yeah, I bet
there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I bet the car shows in California are vastly different than the car shows in Missouri.
I don't know. I will say that
I wouldn't take
the money,
Michael.
Yeah, the money involved is stupid.
Yeah,
like it's so being out here, like you go to like where I'm at, I'm 2 hours inland from San Francisco, so you have all that freaking Bay Area tech money. I would go to car shows and I'd be there. I've had a ton of old cars over the years, and I'd roll in with my little 54 Chevy, and these guys would have their fucking 401k in a paint shop. Like I saw literally $100,000 paint shops. It was like, and that's when I just kind of quit going to car shows. Like I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's been a change over the years with kind of car shows and stuff. Like I just did one maybe like a week ago with all the C10 guys and all the truck guys I used to know and stuff, where there's a much more acceptance of just fixed up trucks and kind of not even like it's kind of moved on from like the rat rod thing to just kind of clean, beat up, but rust is okay. Just run what you brung, and the vibe has changed. You can still go to a good guy show and show off your retirement plan, but yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, cool is cool. I'm down with that for sure. People are like, a tribute car or whatever. It's not cool. I'm like, fuck that.
Fuck that.
I would.
Shit, I'm on.
A 64 Dodge with a transplant Hemi in it. I 100% would go bang gears in that down the street and not feel bad about it. Beautiful thing.
I've talked about for years and years wanting to build a Beck 550. So a 550 Porsche is like the James Dean Deathmobile.
Yeah.
So there was a guy out here by Visalia, California named Beck, and he used to be able to buy those Beck Spiders, and they were great bodies. Shit, they were a fucking Porsche bodied one. You can be in it for like $4 million. Like,
right.
But you could, $40,000, you can go and buy one with a freaking 3-liter twin plug motor that would outrun any real one ever with disc brakes and, double, triple the horsepower. And so, I would love, that's the only electric vehicle I think I would ever own. Is I would love to do an electric motor Beck Spider. Just because it'd be batshit crazy on the torque and speed.
Yeah.
And I would never want to drive it any more than, 30 miles around town. Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not going to be a pro touring car. It's going to be
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, you want me to steer the shit out of you for 3 miles?
Right.
That car.
Yeah. Making space for a giant battery is not necessary for what you want to do. Right. All right. So you're in the Air Force. You did your time in the Air Force. You got married. How did your employment after the Air Force come about? Like, what was the path?
When I first got out of the military, I did a couple odd jobs. I worked at a lumber company, building contractor loads, and betting myself I could say less than 10 words a day. I would just come in and literally grunt at people. And it was cool because I didn't have to deal with customers and stuff. They would just give me a shopping list and be like, put it on that truck and then build the next one and build the next one. And so I worked for a lumber company. I worked at the world's largest winery. I worked at E&J Gallo out in Livingston. I knew enough about supply in the military to kind of lie my way into being Gallo's supply guy. And so I did that for a bit. And then one night, the fog's rolling in and we get death fog here. We get the I-5, Thule, thicker than snot, back when they used to still do flood irrigation. We used to get the nastiest fog literally in the whole U.S. Was all around me, and I was sitting in a big giant warehouse with a gas heater like 30 feet over my head, and I watched the heater pane run out. It went from like that glowing orange. You just watched it like, it's like the battery life meter, right? Just kind of, it's burning, half of it's burning, a third of it's burning, and it just sputtered out. And in my head, it dropped like 20 degrees right then. And it was, in February in the valley, it's probably 38 at night. It's chilly.
Yeah.
It's not fucking Michigan, but it's chilly. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, holy shit, fuck this. I am done with this nonsense. And I took we were still on stock cards. We're on computers, but we had cardboard stock cards that we used to put in the parts bins, and so if I issued Tom, fucking fuel pump or whatever, I would literally cross it off on a card. And then, so my job was literally to come in at night. I'd work 2 to 2 and I would come in at night and I would update all the stock cards and, 30-digit fucking job codes and bullshit on them. And I would update stock cards at night. And I was just like, man, this is dumb. And I was smart enough when I was in the service that GI Bill is an automatic, right? You have to pay into it. You have to, accept it. And then you have to be smart enough to go use it. And so I folded this stock card and I wrote down things that I wanted and things I didn't want. And I didn't want to work for somebody like the idiots I was working for, so like you needed to have, I need somebody to have a college degree or at least articulate a sentence that just wasn't screaming and cursing at me for the people on day shift not doing their job, and vacation and retirement and healthcare, and and I just kind of came to realize that retirement was important. I'd heard my grandfather say it. My dad, when he got out of the Marine Corps, did a couple oddball jobs and just never really stuck with them, and ended up just becoming a house painter, and was a paint and drywall guy, and had an okay business before he passed. But, I grew up hearing you don't want to dig a ditch for a living, and so I knew I probably needed to go use the college money for something. And so I was like, what has retirement? And so teaching had retirement. And so I had, in the past, I had an aunt that had worked at a Montessori school, and I'd come in and help with like summer art programs and stuff. And I was like, well, that's a path. I'll go check it out. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And so, yeah, I enrolled in, I took a year off. Me and Gallo had a kind of crazy parting of ways. And so, I took a year off and I raced bicycles, which is hard looking at me now for guys to wrap their heads around. But I used to be, half the size I am now. And I raced mountain bikes and road bikes and stuff. And I managed a road bike racing team for a summer, and went on the road with the guys and stuff. And so did the bike racing thing, came back, was like, all right, I'm going to go to school. And so my first year I did my AA, my second year I did my BA, and my third year I did my teaching credential and all my post-grad, what are called clear units for my credential. And so, yeah, I knocked everything out and knocked out a BA with honor in 2 years, and my credential, and cancer in my third year.
How long into that process did it take for you to cement that you were doing the right thing? Did you figure it out right away? Take a little while.
So I'm a big, and I think as long as you guys have known me, you've seen that. I'm a just work a plan and stick to it guy.
Yeah. So,
I started the classes, and I'll just say that as an adult, I used to work in a shop that I was 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. When I was in the military, I got out when I went to work at Gallo. When grapes would come in, that season's called crush. That's 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day. I'd have checks with 84 to 92 hours a week. You could call in sick. You just couldn't come back. You were management. You were an at-will employee. And Gallo was ruthless, man. So yeah, I was, the whole, like, you go to junior college and then subsequently, in the state university, read this. Thursday, you're taking the test on it. I'd be like, okay. 2 hours later, I was ready to take the test. Like, I'd go home and I would just literally read the stuff immediately, and I'd be like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so that, I had a decent ability to write. Math was a struggle. Probably still is, but the writing saved me. Everybody that's in school now that has those things, those plagiarism AI things that tell you, if you copied and pasted or whatever,
right.
You're welcome. They didn't see me coming. The internet was a brand new thing. I never stepped foot in a library. I rewrote everything, but I just rewrote somebody else's work. Yeah. They didn't see me coming. I was
crafty.
Doing 21, 24 units a semester. Yeah. I took advantage of, they had the half semesters where you could, they would do the 9-week things where you'd go twice a week at night. I would take every 9-weeker I could. So I had X amount of dollars and I needed to get X amount of things done. So I crushed all that. I got cancer in the middle of it, and kind of didn't really slow me down. It more or less just pissed me off. But when I got cancer, that's what really cemented, like, I don't have time to go do something else.
Yeah,
And
right.
I've committed this far. Like,
Got to finish.
I'm going to go do it. And so I went to my first interview and was at a job fair, and I didn't make it. I only went to one interview just to get a feel for it, and I didn't make it out of the building. I had a job offer, and I just never looked back. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go do this. And so I got hired to teach remedial math and English at this school district that was kind of out in the cuts in a little town called Winton, California. And I was there teaching summer school, and the elementary school teacher came and said, hey, the guy that hired you is leaving the district. I want you to come work for me. And I was like, well, I'd rather work where I wanted. And so before I actually started the traditional school year, I had moved and I started teaching fifth grade. So I taught fifth grade for a couple of years, and then he made me like a teacher on special assignment and vice principal for a couple of years. And then I left the district to become the juvenile hall principal for a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did that for a decade. And then I moved to a little country school out in the middle of nowhere in a town of 250 people. And I retired as a TK kinder first and second grade principal, like a primary school principal.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah.
So you don't have to have your PhD to do any sort of administrative work?
Okay, so in California, there's a separate credential process. It's an administrative credential, and so now that's a master's program. And so, yeah, you essentially go and do an MA.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah. So I have what's called a pro clear. So like if you do either one, if you do a teaching credential or an administrative credential, they require you to do X amount of things beyond that to clear your credential. And so, I have professional clears in both teaching and in admin. Yeah.
That would be handy for Missouri.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's, it was just one of those things where like, I just never kind of second guessed it. Are there other things I'd like to do? I always thought I was going to open a bike shop and run a bike shop. And I mean, that's kind of where my head was at initially, but bike shops didn't have retirement. So retirement sounded better than not having retirement.
Right.
At the time. Now, like I question, I see kind of how everything has transpired with the growth of the internet and kind of how that's played to, certainly all of us on this podcast to our advantage. I probably could have done okay running a shop and doing some of the other things I would have liked to have done, bike touring and I don't know.
But it might have also killed your love for those things. I mean, that's the other
Absolutely.
side of that.
For sure. No doubt. And I think that's where certainly all of us have, I'm sure, had second thoughts about the things that we stare at every day.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, except Tom. But that old saying,
Tom's different. Come on, dog. Tom's different.
he's
Tom, the actor?
just the whole like fastest way to wreck something is to turn it into your job piece of it, right? Like you,
Sure thing.
when you have to like make it into something that's actual work and not just a passion, then it can get weird, or it can be wonderful, right? It just depends.
Yeah. I think I did a little product development for a couple companies while I was still in the military, and like where I'm at and my proximity to the Bay Area, there were a lot of old school mountain bike guys, Gary Fisher and Klein and the guy that started Salsa, Sammy Hagar, Red Rocker fucking mountain bikes. And Specialized was just over the hill, in Livermore and Dublin. And, like I was in with a bunch of the right guys at the time. I spent a year working with a tandem builder, a guy named Ken Kowal. And we were building literally some of the nicest tandems in the country. But you heard about kind of bigger names.
Yeah.
And I just think about how, how the internet's developed and stuff. And had I stuck with that and stayed around those guys, what would that have developed into?
Right. Right.
But, it's as we all know, and I am beyond aware now, lightning doesn't always strike twice, and it doesn't always strike no matter how deserved it may be or how deserved you perceive it to be.
Yeah.
So we all know guys that have less talent than other guys we know that blow up, and you're like, well, fuck, I wonder why that guy didn't blow. Like,
yeah,
Bob's better than Bill. Fuck.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah. There's frame building's a
somebody
hell of a
else's
way to
train?
make business, but yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Rob's
my
got a
train,
train
Tom.
too.
Yeah, you
It's not
missed
just
the first
me?
couple toots. No, it's not just you. I live in where I live. If you draw 100 mile, literally, if you draw 100-mile circle around me, it's half the nation's ag, half the nation's dairy.
Yeah.
Giant dairies here, giant egg. It's you go to a dairy here, like my wife's family had dairies in upstate New York with like 100 cows, 75 cows, like a co-op dairy where they just come and pick up the milk in the morning, and the dairies out here. My buddy Bruce Santos is a breeder for a large dairy in that family. Each dairy's 4,000, and they have 10 of them.
Right.
They have they have 11. They have what the hell? They have 50,000 cows. It's crazy. Yeah.
So
they have
was
milk. Go ahead.
Is that in relationship to your nomenclature of Farmer Rob? I mean, where did
the Farmer Rob thing actually came about? I live in an ag area. My first teaching kind of things, I had a part-time job. I was doing like a PAL program. You familiar with that? Like police activities leagues. So like in urban areas, I'll have these things called PAL programs that are usually sponsored by a police department. And it's usually trying to get kids off the street from doing knucklehead shit. And, I was doing that part-time, and I was doing school gardening part-time. Because, there were like stipends that went along with that, or, or it was just, an hourly job. And so, yeah, it got me into kind of schools and around kids and stuff. And so I had started, I had started getting into, I've always loved music and live music. And there used to be in the middle 90s, there was a big bootleg culture of taping live shows and farming those things out. And so I had this, I was big into Neil Young and Tool and Dave Matthews. And so there were these kind of bootleg networks where you would get like a master tape, and then you had to make, if you were the tree, you had to make 10 branches. And if you were a branch, you had to make 20 leaves. And that whole kind of structure. So I started a Hotmail account, and that was my Hotmail, was farmer_Rob at Hotmail.
Nice.
So when USN first started around, the first time around, my buddy Imua got me in. I was looking for a guy to mod a flashlight. And there were, those first USN guys, those usual suspect guys, there was a bunch of them in the Bay Area. And I happened to know one of them. And I think my first USN number was like it was in the like middle 200s, like 240, 255, somewhere in there. Right. And so, but I joined it, and it was, it was all these like forums, and even at when USN was 500, 1,000 people, like it was too much for me to like, I was running a school, I just made vice principal and stuff. And like, I didn't have time for that shit. I just wanted to get a flashlight fucking modded. And so, and then I didn't have a home computer for a year. I kind of went on this like, anti-tech thing for a year. And so I came back, and I couldn't log into USN. And then they had a server crash.
Yeah.
I think in like 2004. And when I came back on, my number was like 5,000. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
and there's all these guys with forums. There's, Birch Tree Blades and fucking Time Crying Knives and all the, like, I was like, what the fuck? This is like blown up, and I think by the time, that model really kind of fizzled out, they were at like 35,000.
Yeah.
Like it was, it was any, and we, all of us kind of met each other through that. And in those early years, I was big on, I was a watch collector. And I knew a lot of guys in the Bay Area were really sketched out about trading on the internet. And so I used to host lunches in the Bay Area, which is how I met Patrick Ma, who was subsequently Tad Gear.
Yep.
And I met a bunch of SoCal guys that would come to these watch things, and I would set up like watch trading luncheons for guys to come and meet other collectors in person.
How cool.
And so I took that model. So when USN was kind of growing and the Bay Area was growing, that like 05, 06, 07, like for like the next 5 years, I used to host barbecues at my house, and the Bay Area guys would come over, and that's, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, kind of depending on where they're at. And we would have like pig roast here and barbecue parties, and, we'd have 30, 40 USN guys here, because I knew that the in-person connection thing was much more important than the internet kind of echo chamber. Yeah.
Those always look so fun.
Yeah, and you guys kind of remember seeing some of those things.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
yeah, that's kind of how I grew my name in USN. And then when I would go to shows, I would subsequently go to shows and see guys. So like, we can talk about. I had spoken with Michael like early on. Like, when did you leave Bass Pro, Mike?
Shit, man. Oh. 5?
6, 7, 5?
5
Okay.
or 06, one of those two.
Yeah. So then I was talking to Mike before he left Bass Pro. We would just have these conversations where, it was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and you could hear the, the apprehension, and we would literally just like talk through those things. We would just have these conversations about, what's it take to go fall time, and what makes a forum successful, and just talking about, like I feel weird posting pictures of my dog and in the shop, and I'm like, no, that's literally exactly what people need to see. They need to see your fucking dog, and they need to see your shop, and you need to be, a human that they can like wrap their heads around, like, so it's not just this weird mythical thing.
They need
like
to see the dirt in your shop.
Dude, they do. Like there was a guy out here named DB Fraley that, dude, was like a myth. Like he would show up. There was one Bay Area show called BACA. It was like Bay Area Custom Knife Collectors or something like that. Yeah. Right. And so the BACA show was great. That's where I met Brian Fellholzer when he made his first batch of knives. Was at that show, and I had like number 11. Like he sold like the first, he sold 1 through 10 the first day, and 11 through 20 or whatever the second day. But I met Brian.
Those were the last knives he made.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Just kidding, Brian.
At his first show. I'm not kidding, Brian. It's the last fucking knife he made. And so, like those things, that opportunity that USN provided, where, man, if you weren't posting pictures and you weren't connecting to people in person, like it was very odd. And so I'll just tell kind of Michael's story, and my memory is for shit. So Mike can correct me at any time I want, but it took a little bit of doing that, and Michael's popularity kind of grew and grew. And then there was a point where I want to say like 07 going into 08, we'd gone to Blade Show, and it was the end. Mike, the years before had brought blades back from Blade Show, and it was the end of the first day, and Abby was at the table, and Michael was off, fondling a fucking fog or a fucking lum or some shit in some aisle 7 aisles away. And I walked up and I looked at Abby and I said, "Hey, how did Mike do today?" And this was, him growing the USN for him and stuff. And she was like, "He's got one knife left." And it was this little like keychain kiritashi thing. And I was like, "Right on, I'll buy it." And then I called him and I said, "Hey man, you sold out on your first day at Blade. Congratulations."
Yeah.
And then it wasn't much longer after that. I want to say the next USN show, or that first USN show, it was, he shows up and he sells out in like 15 minutes, and I think that's, 6 months apart or whatever, 4 months apart, 3 months apart, whatever the fuck it was. And then from that time forward, it was Lotto's, and he could just fucking fart and sell the knife before the fucking knife hit the floor.
If you weren't on the USN in those early days, you will never understand how special it was.
Yeah, it really was.
Like,
and I think I had to do a lottery that first one, which scared the shit out of me. That first USN show.
I think was it the first or was the second? Like,
it was the first one that I had to do a lottery, and I was like, shit, because I had done some lotteries.
Sucked.
Yeah. I had done some lotteries at Blade before, and I remember my first one there, like the first lottery I did, which I felt so pretentious doing one, being like, okay, this is fucking dumb, whatever. And there was one knife that was like a fixed blade. It's when I transitioned to like folders, and I had one fixed blade, and I was like, "That's yours, you want it?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good." I was like, ouch.
Sorry about that.
And Abby,
come on, man.
I didn't like it.
And Abby was like, she just laughed and laughed.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Like it really was. Like it.
But it was a neighborhood. Like I would go over to the Chili Brothers section and poke fun at them, and go to my own, and while you're waiting to upload photos from your damn camera card,
fucking Ram with his 260 fucking pins and a knife handle. Yeah,
I miss Ram.
Yeah, right.
I do too.
Yeah, and fucking Tom crying, going, the black shit in your lungs probably isn't good for you.
He came by the shop once. Yeah, he was quite a guy.
Yeah, I've been.
I think he lived off of cigarettes and energy drinks, but
yeah, right.
May not have done him much good, but
that's awesome.
What a guy!
Yeah,
yeah, different times, and like you said, Rob, it was a platform, right, and a place, more than a platform. Like, what did you call it just now, Michael?
A neighborhood. It was
neighborhood.
It was the beginning of the community, the knife community. It really was. And there was
that way.
No
it had
bullshit.
It had a warmer feel than Blade Forums.
Yeah.
It definitely had a warmer feel than Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you remember.
I mean, you guys remember walking around at a show and everybody had on a USN badge on a duck lanyard type thing.
Yep.
That was toxic green and black.
And that's how you
100%.
recognize people. And then you'd look at it and be like, oh shit, you're so-and-so. We can talk.
You didn't know who they were or what they looked like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you knew the moniker though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Fantastic times.
You would see, you brought up Fraley earlier, and he's a really interesting one because you'd see his stuff there. He never had a forum, did he, at USN?
No.
Fraley was like reclusive. His stuff was hard to get.
Yeah, Fraley to this day. The master on the mountain. Like he lives in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Which like isn't hard in California. California's gigantic, but he lives like between me and the Bay Area, but he lives like up in these hills that are just like where nobody goes.
Yeah.
And he would only show up at that back of show. And then after that, like he wouldn't come and do the USN show.
Yeah.
But these knives would appear and they were always stellar. He started doing those Lost Souls. He did the skulls and the backspacer. Yeah. And it was like
I never understood how you could get on his list even. I mean,
right.
it was like I don't know. I don't know where or how he sold knives, but he had a list that was forever long.
I'm
Probably
going to
still
tell
does.
you this. So here it is. So it's he literally has like a fucking, peachy fucking binder with, a notebook fucking binder.
A trapper.
And he writes down your phone number and your email address. And so in the last whatever the last back show was, 2007, 2008. I wanted a torrent, and that's back when like flame anodizing was a thing and stuff. And so he looks at me, and one of my security guys from my juvenile hall school was with me. Rosie was with me, Rosendo, and he looks at me and goes, "I'm at like 6.5, 7 years," and he goes, "Just write down your name and your phone number. I'll get a hold of you." Man, that's wild. Like 7 years, 2 months. My phone rings one day. He's like, "Is this Rob Baptie, Farmer Rob?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's DB Fraley." And I was like, "You've got to be shitting me." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Sorry, I'm a couple months late." And he goes, "I had you down for a torrent." And I was like, "Hey, man," I said, 7 years later, my taste would change. I said, I just want a fucking Persian. I want a black on black Persian. I want Zerk bolsters, black handle. And I said, "I do a lot of catering." I said, have you ever thought about making a cleaver?" And there's just like pause on the phone. He goes, "You only get one knife." And I was like, 7 years, man. 7 years. Got some money in hand. I'm like, "Can I talk you into making a second knife?" And he goes, do you know how to get a hold of the guy that was with you?" And I was like, "How do you remember that there was a guy with me?" And he's like, "I can't read his writing, but it looks like Rose or something like that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's Rosendo." I said, "He used to work for me." I was like, "I'll cover his knife. It's going to be a cleaver. I want it fucking black on black, lost souls." And he's like, "I'd love to do a cleaver for you." Done. And so I sold the Persian like a dumbass, but I kept the cleaver. It's fucking amazing. It's the most badass cleaver ever fucking made. Skulls all down the handle, removable Zerk bolsters. It's fuck all bitching. And nobody's ever seen it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and so there's a guy though that I'm telling you, man, 7 years, he sticks to his book.
You only get one.
Yeah, you only get one, and
no soup for you.
Yeah, and the people, the guys that know, what was the guy's name, Mark, that used to be into Bogey? Was that his name? Yeah.
Bogazuski or who used to?
Yeah, Bogazuski.
Phil Bogazuski.
Right?
Yeah. The first USN shows.
Yeah. Those guys were like, it's like that level of.
They're really good. Yeah.
Like super detailed, super nice, super clean.
Yep.
But like, I never knew how the hell to get a hold of Phil. And they're like, "Oh, I'll introduce you." And I'm like, "Well, does he have like a website? Like, can I sign up?" And he wasn't that kind of guy.
Right.
Yeah, and so and it always kind of bothered me that I didn't get one from him because I always really had admired his work. So yeah. So keeping the Fraley though. Yeah, it's fucking bad. 7 years. I was patient.
I heard a very similar story from Mike Kammer. A few years ago, I don't remember if he sent a message or if it was in a little small Facebook group that I was in with Mike. He's like, "Oh, hey, check this out. Just came in." And it was a very trick Fraley. I'm like, "Wow." Like a recent one? He goes, Yeah. He just sent it to me. He just built it. I'm like, "That's crazy." He goes, "Yeah, you know what? Guess how long ago I ordered that thing?" Right? Same thing, 7 years, it's 8 years. I don't know, some ridiculous amount of time. It's like, holy cow. Yeah. He goes, "Yeah,
but he sticks to it."
He does. Yeah.
That's the craziest shit. We're in 2025, like 18 years later, he's still doing the same freaking thing. Like, and God bless him. He's detail or like they're beautiful knives, man.
The knives are still good. Yeah.
You don't slip.
I have a torrent, the classic, right? A torrent with the lost souls and the whole deal. And it's, just, they're great knives. They're one that's, because I think he's such an uncommon name, right? He doesn't have any public presence to speak of. He's one of those underappreciated makers, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think a little bit like Phil Bogazuski, like you mentioned, right? He at least had production deals and people knew who Phil was, but but maybe there was like a generation that knew who he was, and then there was a newer generation of collectors who had no clue. It's kind of like, oh, look at that old guy with the fedora and his wife like knitting at the table over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't even go by because it didn't look like the kind of stuff they'd be into. But if you went over and actually touched the work, it's like, holy shit, these are all amazingly impeccable knives, right?
Yeah. The first time I went to Blade, like it was so freaking overwhelming. I made a decision that the second time I went around, I found somebody that wasn't sitting at their table, and I took their chair and I started walking the aisles and sitting down and talking to guys that like nobody was stopping at their tables. And I would just literally just flop a chair down and
that's a fantastic idea.
Dude, and I would just sit there and just talk to guys. And you guys probably remember I was never really in a strong economic position to buy stuff, but I would show up, like I had a relationship with Mike. I would show up with like coloring books for his kid, like just little like cheesy shit, fucking pretzel snack, like bags of pretzels or bags of shit, and you roll by tables at fucking 1:00, 1:30 when guys are just dying to step away, but they're also dying to fucking sell a knife. And I'd come by and I'd be like, hey, here's some beef jerky. Check off. Well, that's only what I'd say to Michael, but yeah, but like I would literally like, I knew very early on that the value sometimes is more in just taking the time to appreciate what's in front of you and, give them, a little fucking bag of Cheetos or some bullshit and just say fucking hello.
Yeah.
Even if you can't, buy the thing.
We've said it a million times. It's about relationships. Shows
It really is.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And not the fake relationship of like, hey, this is my grail, a passing comment about whatever. I mean, just sitting down and talking and sharing some time and finding out. I don't know. It just feels like sometimes like when a show, the knives are gone, I'm like I want to talk knives. Let's talk.
It can get pretty lonely once the knives are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome. So we all kind of met each other through USN in that sort of time frame. And so by that time, Rob, what kind of stuff were you into in that early USN time frame after the crash? Like when you came back to USN, what were you into at the time?
Let me think a little bit. I mean, knife wise, like I used to tell the story about, like I remember the first time I saw a Nuck. Andy sold like a G10 Nuck for like $25. And I thought the Nuck thing was just kind of cool, but I had fat fingers and I sent it back to him twice to resize, for my $25 because I wanted to make sure that I could use it.
Right.
Right. And I used to, he and I have joked about that over the years, but, I was always into, like Sal Monaro.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Tom, I had a couple guys make me knives where I sent makers G10 Lager and I had them make me knives. And so there was a fireman out of Canada. I can't think of his name. James something. He was making like these. Him and Rick Hinder were both started making these like rescue kind of knives. And so
something
I had him
with an M, James.
Yeah, James.
Oh,
Nick, James. It'll come to me. Maybe not. But McGowan, there we go. Very good. And so, I had Tom make me a Santoku, and I had another guy make me a cleaver, and I had another guy make me James made me a rescue knife. And so, like, there was a couple of us that did that, where we sent makers, like handle material, and then I had for a while I was into like things that were just stupid big. So like I had Michael make me a giant Kiradashi.
Oh,
You remember that,
I
Mike?
forgot about that fucker.
Holy fuck! I just stole my fucking
Huge.
safe, man. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with it. But Michael did, made me, fucking entertain my, Michael's tried to entertain a couple of my dumb ideas over the years.
Some didn't work.
Some successfully, some unsuccessfully. Yeah, and so I was more into, I was just more into kind of meeting people and then just asking them to do something dumb. So like, I remember SAR, like Tom knows SAR, Spencer Allen Ryder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I talked to him this morning.
Oh, nice. And so, yeah, Mr. Homesteader. And so
Yeah,
he's carving a hole in the woods, man. And so, I would talk these guys into like, hey, I like that thing, but can you make it bigger? And now like I went, and then I went totally the other way. I started buying slip joints in like 2010, 2011, like kind of right around like maybe the first or second gathering, and tried to talk Michael into doing a slip joint and a couple of guys. And so, yeah, I started kind of going smaller and smaller, but I don't know, man. I've kind of always been all over the place, but I was always fascinated by the small kind of gadgety type stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I was a people collector more than a knife collector. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the
And
best
weird
part
stuff.
of it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
everything was going big, you'd go, I want something small. Give me something different.
Yeah.
Because I get that. What's the point of having something like that everyone else has?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and again, I just was never, I am super distracted by all things bright and shiny. So, not only was I into knives, I was into hot rods, and I was into guns, and I was into, gear, and I just couldn't, I was just spread too thin. I never really ever had one
Core thing that you were chasing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to be spread around on stuff, right? I
think we all
enjoyed that a lot too. Yeah. Yep. So we got to talk about the Hate Dust Hate Project stuff, Rob. Because I know there are probably some listeners who are familiar with the history. There, I think, probably are many who are not. You want to explain kind of how that got started and started to get legs, and then just went bonkers, right?
Yeah, it just went bonkers. So there's a couple of things that happened that led up to that idea, and so. At some point, I had a friend that had a ranch, and we were playing around with super hots, chili peppers. And I was one of the first guys in California to get habanero seeds back in the middle 90s from the University of New Mexico, when that was the hottest pepper you could get, right? And so mutual friend of ours, Jeremy Horton, had grown a bunch of super hots. When we say super hots, we're talking about, ghosts and scorpions, and
I totally
reapers
forgot
were
about
just starting to come on. And so Jeremy had put up this thing in his forum where he was like, hey, I have these extra peppers. I don't know what the fuck to do with them. And peppers, what happens is like peppers take a long time to develop, and they develop late in the year. So like August, you think you have a bunch, and then suddenly September, you have a bunch more.
Right.
The end of September, you have even fucking more, and suddenly you're overwhelmed. And so that's kind of what had happened was, we got late in the year, and like, you don't know what the hell to do with all this. Well, in the 90s, I had made these pepper shakers for me and my uncle, just as like a kind of a goof. And so we were heading into, we were getting close to the USN show, which would be Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
And I came up with this idea. I had been doing the local people that put on this event for Make-A-Wish had been doing like a fundraiser dinner, and I'd been donating like pig barbecues to this fundraiser dinner. And so you could have a guy that had cooked the World Series of barbecue and the American Royal and that kind of stuff come to your house and roast a pig for you. Well, you can get that in fucking North Carolina or Arkansas or Alabama. You can't get that in California. And so it went over really well, me coming and doing that. And so I had this idea where I was like, hey, man, I'm going to make these fucking pepper shakers. I'm going to give them to Make-A-Wish. I'll just, right, we'll fucking do the thing. And I'll make these pepper shakers, and then I'll just give them to Make-A-Wish. And so that was my like root core idea was, hey, I can donate the cash to Make-A-Wish. And so I started kind of angling that in my head and kind of in the discussion with a couple of guys that were donating peppers to me. And then I heard somebody said, and like I said, my memory's kind of shit, so I'm going to have Sean help me out here. Somebody said, hey, Sean was talking about him and Derek, so Derek being Derek at Steel Flame. Derek's going to do some tags for Sean to sell as like a fundraiser for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And I knew of Sean. I didn't know Sean well, but I was like, oh, huh. And I asked somebody for his number, and I called him up, and I was like, hey, I'm the dumbass from the internet. I got an idea. I'm like, I can't imagine that you want to stand in the aisles and sell fucking tags all day to do your fundraiser. So let me do it for you. And I'm gonna make pepper shakers to pair with these tags, and I'll sell them for you. And it takes the pressure off of you. And yeah, I don't really care what I give it to. I just want to do the task. I'm task oriented, right? Like, I just want to check the box and say I did this thing. So let me do this for you. And instead of me giving it to Make-A-Wish, I'll give it to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So, I called Sean. Sean kind of agreed. And so what I did is we went to that. I made the shakers. So really in like kind of that discussion in that period of time, USN had gone down for service or maintenance or something.
Yeah.
And Facebook had just enabled a group feature. And so we all started kind of making these little offshoot groups on Facebook just to kind of, chat with your buddies. And so
right.
we had a group of guys that, Sean was in there and Jeremy was in there. Mark was in there. And so Mark made a graphic for us, brought it, if I remember right, his fucking mom trimmed the labels for us. Like,
yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
His mom trimmed the, Mark printed out some labels, then mom trimmed them out, trimmed them out on the inkjet printer and then sent them out to me. And, we went to like Dollar General and bought a bunch of little containers. And, so I had Mark's, stickers on the containers, and I sat there and we went to the USN show, and I I stood between Jeremy and Sean's table in this corner, and people were walking by, and I'd be like, hey, you buy this. And they're like, what does it cost? And I was like, I don't care. And I'd point at Rachel and Kendrick, and I'd say, give her some money. We're raising money for cystic fibrosis. Don't care what you do, but you're gonna get a fucking thing of hot peppers. It's gonna make you cry, and you're gonna get a tag from Steel Flame. And so 4 hours, we ended up with just north of like $6,000.
Yeah.
And I looked at Sean and I said, oh my God, I am never fucking doing that again. I have never been nice to that many people in a row in my life, ever.
Yeah.
And then this weird twist of fate, we met another guy, kind of ancillary to the group, Stuart Ashner, and I get to talking, and it's the thing of like, you see the name online, S. Ashner, Sashner, right? I recognized the name, and he was like, what the hell were you doing? And I told him, he's like, that's bitching. He goes, I work for this ad company in Chicago. He's like, if you cut me a check, my company will match it, and then we'll, we can help double your money. And so we turned $6,000. We turned $6,000 into $11,000, And I went home and was like, huh, that was cool. And we, I let,
Right.
Sean and Rich will give it away. And I just wanted to do the task. And so went home. Word got out on USN that, kind of what we had done and, kind of the Robin Hood aspect of it. And a couple months go by, we roll into like November and people are like, hey, you should do it again.
Right.
And I was like, what? Nah. And I was like, well, like we got a bunch of fucking peppers here. Like, fuck it, I can make A-test again. I learned a bunch of lessons the first time, like, you should probably wear gloves and a respirator. And so, so I did it again in November and we gave the money to Make-A-Wish and something else. And so, yeah. And so now, then like January, February rolls around and people are asking me to do it again. And I was like, the fuck? Right. So that whole time that we had kind of done it, we were using, God bless him, we were using Jeremy Horton's forum on USN. And I knew, that's taking advantage of Jeremy's space. So I knew like it needed to kind of branch off and go do its own thing. And so we developed a forum on USN. Jeremy was always super gracious about letting us use his forum. Like, he didn't say, hey, I'm sick of your shit. None of that. But yeah, like it's not fair to him. It's not fair to, it's just not fair to him. Right. So
sure.
We started our own forum and then I started a Facebook forum. And so that's like the root of it, and then in starting the Facebook forum, I recognized, at that era, Jeremy had started making a little, we'll call them cocks. He started making these little bottle openers, that look like a rooster. And I was like,
right, I
can make a bottle opener. And I'm like, that could be like a way to fund this thing. And so, because peppers disappear at the end of the year, and like you don't have peppers all year round. And
right.
So, I was talking with Kevin King, and Kevin King and I, like in a series of discussions and a set of emails and messages back and forth, and sitting there with an iPad and a sketch pad, Kevin King and I designed the bottle opener in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like literally super short time. Like we're keyed in, we did it on a pig because that was kind of my Make-A-Wish thing and stuff. And so, I showed the guys in the group and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And, I'm going to make whatever it was, 40 of them or something. We're going to do like 20 in Thai and 20 in something else. And what do you guys think? Like it'll be like $50 or something. And Cesar Gamino was like, Cesar was like, no, they're $100 and I'll take one. And, right. And a bunch of guys jumped on board, like Josh Hicks and Glowwacky and, Tyler Holden and Ralph K. And like, there was all these guys that were in that group, Cesar and Franny and, Mark and, fucking birds. So I order them, like I pay for them. Kevin goes and gets them. He's on his way back. He stops and visits Tom. Tom's the first guy to pimp a pig. Tom's like, oh, give me one of those. I'll fuck with it. And so, Tom and Kevin and those, looked out for me. Kevin anodized some of them and stuff. And so
Wild times, right?
They work, and so what happened was I ended up sending them to like Marsh, like Trent Goodwin and those guys, Billy Cho, like I sent them to like a couple of guys and I didn't sell them. And those guys posted pictures of them.
Yeah.
And people were like,
crazy the names you're dropping.
Oh, for sure. Oh, like, I'm going to drop some more here in a second.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like, And so,
Well, and it was the dawn of the animal-shaped bottle opener era.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
This was
You know,
a
but-
weird.
And the snails.
Right place, right time with some of that. Yeah.
yeah, Jesper with the snails. Jesper did
Yeah.
some for, and so what happens is I didn't sell them for a while, and then I sold the Thai ones I had, and that got me the money to pay for an order of stainless. And then we did. Oh my God, I'm gonna throw up in my mouth right now in embarrassment. He just passed away. Lori, who had the parser.
Oh,
thing.
Lori Knight.
Lori
Yeah.
Knight. And so Lori Knight gave me some space on he had a web platform.
Yep.
And we did like a sign up sale. And guys were like, how many are you going to make? And I was like, I made 250. And they're like, you can't fucking make 250. Like, you'll kill your own market. Like, you can't. How? And I was like, shit, watch me, man. I said, not for nothing. I said, all the fucking cool kids got these things. I said, watch me. And it took me about 2.5 days. I sold 250 of them. And now it's a fucking thing. It's,
Yeah.
and in there, in those early days, I know I didn't say thank you enough, right? Like everything happened so fucking fast. And you guys know, like when the lightning strikes and the shit catches on fire, like you just don't really know where to turn.
Stuff moves
And
quick.
It
No, you
does
gotta
go quick. And
Tiger by the tail.
I did, and I didn't look. I think a fair criticism is that I didn't look to the right and left enough, and so those guys that helped out early, those guys like, that were in that original kind of group of guys, there were some people that helped me make shit, Glowacki and Holden and Trent Goodwin and those guys, like they that success of Jeremy letting me, use the forum early on, because what ends up happening is that we transitioned to, I started doing these annual sales where I started inviting artists in, and it's no longer just the guys like kind of in my circle. Now I've got Rev Hearts, and I've got, Fellholter, and I've got Steel Flame. I've got fucking Pat Pruitt. I've got Jason Stout. I've got fucking Birch. Birch did, Hamon Pigs. Tom did stuff. Sean did pieces. Freaking. And now, man, you want to talk about like a list. And I almost hate hate saying a list, but when you want to start talking about like who's who of, the Tennessee guys, Horton, Stout, I think Brad did some. But like it's you spread out. Steel Flame, Pruitt, Richard Rogers, Mike Bond at High-Tex when High-Tex was first starting,
Right.
And still to this day, Rev Hearts. I did a project with Zippo USA, so I had branded Zippos. Charles Wiggins, freaking, Frank Hart. I had, Tom Ferry, who was an engraver. Sal Monaro, Steve Kelly, freaking Rudy Lala, Flavio Icoma, fucking John Barker, right? Like I could keep going. The like guys that like you guys don't even like Peter Proyne, right? Chris Elick was he was like a kind of gadget guy out of Canada, but Nick Swan, Charles Wiggins, the flashlight guy, Shane Barb Hunter, they were like engravers, fucking engravers. David Ricardo did engraving. Did like printing press fucking pigs, and then did, prints, Burnley, Pete Gray, Loud, I did several collabs with the Chinese company that's like the Kings of Gadgets, Loudy, Greg Stevens, like we're all watch guys, Greg did a bunch of leather stuff for me. Guy named Craig Payne, Fellholter, Captain Axel, right?
Yeah.
Dude, and I know I'm missing a ton of names. Justin Koch. Like, if you guys don't know, Justin Koch does like a lot of EDC stuff. But man, he's super clever. Tattoo artist, does graffiti art.
Nice
dude,
guy.
he is super talented. And dude, he doesn't want to travel. He's super low key, and there's a guy that would just blow up if he would go to shows and go meet people. But even like within our group, Jamie Piccola, right? Jamie anodized a lot of that early stuff and did cool stuff. Peter Proyne, who was a great maker. Pete Gray. The entire time, Chad Nichols has looked out for me. Chris Dunn's looked out for me.
Dude, no surprise there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Oh no. And then there are guys I don't think are on your guys' radar. But like at the time, Rydex, this guy named Ryan Ferguson, was like the hot patch guy, and he and I did this. We called it "Let the Hate Flow." It was like the pig with it was like the Dark Emperor with the lightning coming out of his fingers and stuff.
Yeah.
That that was one of the first patches that started regularly trading at $600-$700. Like,
Yeah.
it was batshit crazy. Like, and when you're around that, like, you're so caught up in the midst of it, and like, you don't know how long it's going to go for. Like, I just, you guys talk about giant mounts. Jim Work did some pigs for me that were, to this day, just fucking amazing. He did a time one with like a Pink Floyd quote on it, and Han Solo, Frozen in the Door. And then people that were like customers that are makers now, like Q37 Dave, the anodizing guy, Tony Wynn, who's now like he's the big patch guy now, False Idols. He was a customer, and guys like Bonds Macau and John at Tenchi, and Ty Kirsch, who started his own thing, Christine Nielsen, Craig Payne. Like, there was these people that were customers that are now makers that, at that batshit crazy time, like, people were in, the biggest lines were Burnley, Steel Flame, us, and like it's weird to have people like stand in line for 10 hours to get you, 12 hours to get to get to your first at USN. So yeah, that's a real weird thing. So to have some of those folks like Brody at Breakfast Club that used to used to sit in line, and now you see those guys kind of doing their own thing and stuff, but they still reach out, still do pieces for me from time to time, and kind of look out for the old man. Like, it's nutty, man. I've got a kid on my page, Joey Voorhees, that does a lot of metal finish work and stuff, and is always begging for me to send him pieces, and I'm just fucking forgetful and a dumbass. And every time I send him something, I'm like, holy shit, kid, why are you not a maker yourself? Like, why are you not just fucking doing this? Like, it's time for you to go. The new school guys like JRW and Starco and stuff have done cool pieces for me. And so, and I know I'm missing a ton of people, but
Yeah.
I mean, those are the ones that I just wrote down that I wanted to make sure, like, I recognize that my success was 1,000% dependent on that.
Yeah, folks pitching in, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's a tricky thing to navigate. I can only imagine being in that spot where, like you said, it's okay. So initially, it's just this purest possible good cause onesie thing, right?
100%. Oh yeah,
that spirals. Still focused on good cause, but like in a way where it's like, I don't know, man. I think anyone would struggle with trying to keep a compass, or, I know you look at it as like, hey, maybe there's some things I wish I would have done a little bit different, right? But at the same time, the work itself is undeniable, and the benefit to human beings, right, I think overrides all of it.
So
for us,
there's the part I skipped, right? And I said, like in the beginning, like we started with Sean and cystic fibrosis, right? And then it transitioned to Make-A-Wish. And, but early on, the decision, was and it is to this day, and it's still, I still marvel at the fact that I have people join my Facebook group that have no idea, having seen the little pig-shaped bottle openers and, you know, the stuff with the logos after, I think we're in our 11th year. Don't realize that I kept it a charitable thing. And when I say that, you know, what happened was that first year, I got to kind of the end of the deal, and we'd given away, you know, $100 and something thousand. And I got a tax bill,
Right.
you know, for $15,000 that I had to fucking pay on money I'd given away.
Right.
You know, and if you bother to read the IRS tax code, you know, like Rule 4 is like you can only give away 50%. Well, if you're a guy that makes $100K a year, like what's the likelihood that you're going to give away 50 grand? The fucking likelihood is zero.
Yeah, right.
Right. But if you're the fucking NFL Owners Association and you made fucking $23 billion and you can afford a couple shell corporations and you can funnel the money back to yourself, suddenly it makes a lot more sense. Right. So
Right.
I understand the rule. I just fucking should have read it before I started and had a better game plan. But yeah, so, you know, as a charity over the last 11 years, we've donated to, and that's just in this format. We've donated to, I'm closing in on, I think, 1,000 things. Like I'm scrolling down. I've kept a spreadsheet that people can always, if you're on like if you go to my main.thehateproject.com, you can see the spreadsheet. But
Yeah.
since back in the day, we've donated to 968 things or events or causes or organizations. So I'm closing in on 1,000, and it's 2,644,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking retarded, man, and I know it is. Right? Like I'm a guy that, you know, I make $45K a year in retirement. 2 years ago in Haight, I decided that I had never taken a salary. I had never, you couldn't even talk to me about it. Right. And so 2 years ago when I decided to kind of retire, I decided that we should probably at least have health insurance or something on me, in order for me to keep doing this. You know, and it's, you know, in the pocket trash kind of circle of guys, there's not a lot of guys that made it 10 years. There's not a lot of guys that have consistently put out product and done stuff for 10 years. And for a long time, I didn't want to ask people to do stuff. Like I just, and I still don't. Like I just started kind of doing more and more things on my own and trying to figure out how to do stuff, because if I ask, you know, Sean to, you know, make a pig, Sean's not making a knife. And I'm smart enough to recognize that Sean's not making a knife. Right.
Yeah, right.
So, I kind of quit asking guys. Every now and then I have somebody, you know, say something like, "Oh, you're still doing that? You know, send me a pig." And then, I send them some stuff and you see
I think we lose track though. I think most of us that were involved, you know, it was something special for us too. So when you're not asking, you're taking something special from us too. So, I mean, just thinking out loud, for me personally, you know, ask some. Yeah. I think it would be good.
Feel free to ask. I feel left out. It's been a long time.
Wow, Michael Birch feels left out.
It's been a while. You know, you haven't heard from Rob in a while, and you're like, huh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's still going. But dude, I'm going to tell you, it's you know, at year 11, it's embarrassing to ask. Like it's not.
I think what Tom's saying, it was fun for us too. It's when we're doing the same stuff over and over, and we get to have like a fun little project to just fuck around with. Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's why I brought up the point about being like weird to navigate, right? I mean,
it is
like you're left in a spot, right? I've had a number of conversations over the years with knife makers, and like when I'm talking to a maker and we start talking about doing some kind of project or whatever, I almost always apologize. Like, hey, I don't ask you to do stuff, you know, or put me ahead of some. I'm not asking for that, right? So if this is not your bag, I totally get it. And you should not feel bad in any way to say, I can't do it right now. And If you can, great. If you can't, it's no problem, right? It really is no sweat. And I don't know how many times I've had makers say exactly what Tom just said, right? No. Right? I mean, yeah, okay, we get tired of people harassing us for stuff. At the same time, this is what we do for a living, right? With most people that I talk with about stuff, it's people that have a relationship or have bought with stuff for a long time, right? So it always feels weird to ask, so I totally get that piece of it. But I think if you go into it knowing, right, people might have to say no and that it has to be okay, then maybe there's not really a lot to lose there. But I totally understand your point, Rob. I mean, I totally get how it can feel odd.
Do you remember, Rob? We did a charity knife for it might have been your niece or somebody that had cancer. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. We called her my niece. It was my cousin's daughter. Yeah. And she subsequently passed. She had brain cancer, and it killed Corey. Yeah, absolutely.
But when we did that was one of the coolest things I'd done to that point. Like, it pushed me on the knife. It made me feel good about myself, and we were doing good, and it was one of those things that it was just a feel good all the way around, and that was the most one of my knives had ever brought also, which was wild. But, that was a fun piece, and it pushed me, and it was just, that was a fun time,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was easy for folks to want to get involved with and help, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a fast path to actually go do something for other human beings. And, Rob mentioned my mom cutting out labels, right? I designed those labels. We had a lot of fun coming up with the ingredient list and some funny stuff that we put in there. And then I printed them on the color laser, and I had a big stack of them. And my parents were here. My mom was battling cancer. And so my parents would come downstate here to see us and stay with us while she would do treatments and things. And I took stuff into the kitchen table, and while they were here, right? Because I'm like, shit, I got to get these done, right? Rob's waiting for these. And I had these big pile of labels in solid sheets. And my mom's like, what are you doing? And I started to explain, and she kind of tilted her head, the whole hate dust thing. She's like, I don't get it. And so I spent a few minutes and explained why and where the money goes and what we were doing it for. And she's like, oh, this is a good thing. I'm like, no, it's a super good thing. No one's taking a dime. This is all people doing it out of love. And she was like,
a part of it.
You got another pair of scissors? I'm like, yeah, let's go, Mom.
Nice.
And so she sat down and cut 1,000. I don't know how many labels it was, right? Just a ridiculous number. And I'm like, phew. And for her, she didn't know any of this from anybody, right? She didn't know Rob. She didn't know any of the guys. She didn't know what was going on. But as soon as I told her, hey, this is a good thing for people, right, who need help, she was like, I'm in. I don't need to know more. And, I kept her apprised on stuff over the years, Rob, and I think she felt good about having been some little tiny slice of it early on as well. And I think everybody that's been involved comes away or I think can hang on to that, right? That, hey, we helped do something nice, right? And yeah, it took off and it got huge and continues to be big and whatever. But we were part of it too. That's fun.
Yeah. And it's also like, we know it's going somewhere good, because sometimes you want to help and you want to do something.
Yeah.
And you pick at random, and we read about some of these places that are taking percentages and stuff like that. And you're just like, fuck, this is we know where it's going.
Yeah.
And that's all we want.
I think there's, there was a couple things that happened in the middle where I was ready to quit a couple times. For a while there, I ran a second forum, and the second forum we called the Hate Project United. And so in my head, I had decided that it wasn't fair to just for me to be like, hey, I'm going to do, we're going to do these things, and I'm going to give it to whatever the fuck's on the spreadsheet, right? That if Mark wants to do something for his fucking local cat shelter or, Michael's cousins, kids freaking softball team, whatever, that they should have an opportunity to do a deal too. And so for a year or two, we ran the second forum, and that's where I saw like the ugly side of it. Like things just got kind of haywire, right? It was, and I think that disconnected me from a lot of folks, right? Because, like you can't feel bad about doing the right thing for the wrong people, but you can certainly get fed up with the fucking wrong people, right? So I did, I tried to do this thing where I tried to, let, if Tom, had made a knife and wanted to sell a knife to, fund fucking Ben's, high school fucking band uniforms, well, then I would donate a couple pigs and then we would do the thing, and I would just trust that Tom went out and got band uniforms, right? But what happened?
I really
was
did.
I started getting these feedback like, well, fucking Tom's driving a new Bronco.
Yeah, he's driving a brand new Ford Maverick.
And I'm like, well, probably because he didn't have to buy the fucking band uniforms because we helped him out. Like, duh, dumbass. Like, there's, like one doesn't mean that he took the band money. Like, did the band get the uniforms? Like, that's the first question, right?
Yeah, right.
Why does Tom have a new fucking car?
Yeah.
But the straw that broke the camel's back and was we had a gal, people came up to me and they were like, hey, there's this gal in whatever it was, like wherever, somewhere in Missouri, right? And she's dying of cancer and the town's paying off her house and they're setting up a college thing for their kids and yada, 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 right? Like this whole like crazy story of everybody coming together to help this lady, and then it turns out, the lady had just shaved her head and lied to everybody.
Oh, jeez.
And you're like,
holy shit.
Fuck. Oh yeah. And it was just like enough, and like the GoFundMe things were kind of going out of control. And I had some guy that like publicly went like all ape shit, like on me, the sitting on zero was like, how come we weren't helping this weird like housing project thing? And then, you see that guy on ABC Nightly News getting fucking wrapped up by the feds for fraud and stuff. And I was just like, I'm done. Like I've distanced people that used to be super close to me, who just aren't into this. And, this was just a mistake. Like I shouldn't probably have done this because the reason why I think it worked early on was that I was just so fucking cavalier that, like I had a good job. Like I didn't need anything out of it. I just liked checking the boxes. I liked doing the tasks. I liked gathering all the stuff and doing the big annual livestock sale and then just going and cutting retarded checks. Like there was one year I cut like a $70,000 check to Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I ever going to get to do that? Like,
That's
part of
awesome.
that is, like part of that is if you go in and you look at the spreadsheet of like here, I'll just fucking pull it up. Like here's just things that, like over like the last year, right? Special needs camp, high school performing arts, Merced Food Bank, military youth skateboard drive, right? I got a guy that comes in and takes skateboards up to a couple bases, for kids that have family members deployed and all that, right? The 450 squad, the CHP Christmas drive, right? The Mariposa Sheriff's Cops for Kids, right? The Versailles shop, shop with a cop, skateboard guy, the guy homeless shelter fucking thing, animal shelter, food pantry, salmon preserve, frickin' veteran outdoor fucking hunting thing, young mothers help, a food pantry, a freaking CASA, that's a court appointed special advocates for kids, right? Breast cancer, food bank service, right? Like, guitar, dude. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. It's like 960 things. Like you just go on and on, but like the variety of things were like if you just come to me and you're like, hey man, like we've got this thing, this local, deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, we can do that. Like they have a nonprofit, like somebody else in charge. It's not you. Like I'm not cutting it to, Tom Crine's CNC fund. Yeah, I can do that.
Right.
So yeah, it's been nutty, the crazy amount of things. So like we were at an event this year at the food bank, and, they gave us this award, and it's, since our involvement with the food bank, you're talking about, you've provided 500,000 meals for families.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you wrap your head around that? Right.
Right.
Like I'm not like nobody's coming to my house and knocking on my door and saying thank you. Right. Like nobody's, and that's not why you do it. Right. But you need to know that in the back of your head that, having 500,000 meals out there that probably wouldn't have been there had you not gotten involved and done the thing. That's a good thing. And that's the part that in the middle, when folks were kind of burned out with my bullshit with the other forum and how things were going, they weren't seeing that stuff. They weren't seeing the letter from the parents that we got a girl, a therapy dog.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm talking to people and stuff. Like I just had an agency reach out and was like, hey, we've got this family that their little girl has brittle bone disease. We want to do a therapy dog for this kid. Like, can you help with that? I'm like, yeah, I can help with that.
Right.
I don't know the kid. I didn't get a thank you letter from the organization. I didn't get there's nothing. There just isn't, And so
yeah,
when we crossed it took me up until about the $1 million mark where like no balloons, I'd done a livestock sale kind of coming into that mark. And we were at breakfast. They had a couple friends. My buddy Elvis, my buddy Joseph came up, and they came up to help me just pack packages. They drove up from Los Angeles, like 4.5 hours. Came up because they knew I was kind of going a little nutty. And they're looking at their phones, and it was the day before Thanksgiving, and they're going to drive back, to LA and go be with their families for Thanksgiving. And like no balloons fall out of the sky.
Right.
Nobody comes and buys your coffee. Nobody pays for your breakfast.
Right.
And you got to go back to your fucking, house that's thrashed and your wife that's, fed up with you, having boxes and bullshit everywhere and doing, a 15-hour day on the fucking internet and stressing out over, the other part that people don't see is that, like let's say, like when I would do those big sales and I would sell 100 things, I'm a good guy. Like, I want to make sure that Mark gets his fucking Pat Pruitt, super bitchin', steel flame, skull encrusted, fucking Salmonaro engraved fucking thing. Like, I can't replace that thing. I can't replace the time that it took for them to make it. I can't replace it fucking monetarily. Like, right? So I stress, like, every time I do it, I stress, like I way stress out. I flip out, and even though it's insured, then you got to have, an argument with USPS over why is a
valuation, and all that. Yeah.
Why is a knuckle, why is a felony paperweight $5,000?
Right.
Like you get, so there's this rationale where and I hear people like say things. I've spent 11 years shipping. I'm easily in the 10,000 package range. I've never lost shit.
Yeah.
I've had packages delayed getting there. I've screwed up and not sent it, or I've screwed up and sent the wrong thing to the wrong person, but I've fixed it. But I've only ever had I've had package delivered out of Canada that, showed up empty, but the fucking package showed up, like it delivered.
Right.
But you can tell, the weights and through the thing that, and you see the package, like it's obviously been tampered with, but I've had an amazing success and, whatever you want to call that, man, good karma, whatever. Yeah, it's been a good deal, but it was especially in, man, that third, fourth, fifth year, it was crazy. Like it was nutty. It's not like that now. Now I'm a bottom feeder at a show. I'm hoping that somebody stops by and throws us a couple bucks, and I'm super thankful when they do. But It's just not like that anymore. Like the popularity phase has waned. I still have a great core audience in our Facebook group. I still have folks volunteer to pimp out material. Yeah.
I'm just a little higher than crying now.
A little bit. Yeah. So it was the pace for a while there was mental.
Goofy.
It was goofy. Like, if you're, Greg Stevens, our friend Greg Stevens, who's a leather maker that's made watch straps probably for all of us. He used to work for Clark Pest Control, and so when you think about Greg making a watch strap on the side and he's selling a watch strap for $100, right?
Yeah.
If you think about if you're making watch straps on the side of your regular 60-hour-a-week job, is $250,000 a year business. Like, why the fuck are you going to work? And I was, I was running a school, I was a principal for 8 of those 10 years where I hit that average, and like now I'm nowhere near that average. It was wild for a while, and I was glad that I didn't, part of me's glad I didn't quit. But part of me knows that, it alienated some folks, and part of that bothers me. Like, it bothered me so much I didn't do shows for a while. I had some feedback about some things that had happened at shows, and I felt, immediately kind of like you should not, if I've been drinking, like, you shouldn't hand me a microphone and, let me loose at a show, and so, I had to, hat in hand, man. I had, I went out and apologized to people. I quit doing shows for quite a bit. And so now I'm just at this point now where, like, I'm just kind of grateful about folks that are still willing to help. I'm grateful that we can still kind of make an impact with things like, I've had a room at Ronald McDonald House for I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, something like that,
Yeah.
Still granting wishes with Make-A-Wish. We still fund. I fed 3 this coming year. I'll feed like 300 seniors for a year. Like, those are good things, man. It makes it worthwhile to still do.
Yeah.
Despite the kind of, pratfalls of just doing kind of the same thing over and over and taking your hobby and turning it into a business, all those things. So yeah, I'm glad I'm still around. It's just a different pace now. And I'm just, if, man, you'd like to help, reach out, send me a note, say, hey, send me some shit, man. I'll gladly send you some shit, because God knows I'm fucking tired of doing it all the time. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think anything like that, right? At some point it gets harder and harder to find the energy to sweat it the same way necessarily, probably, right? I can absolutely see that. And when you have some shitty experiences along the way, I absolutely would get soured fast personally with that. That would be a tough thing to get past. And then, like we talked earlier, and like you and I have talked one-on-one, just navigating the situation, right? Like, you got friends that helped at the beginning. You got friends now. There's a huge core audience that maybe doesn't even know any of the people that were involved earlier on, and that's okay. And it has to be. But how does Rob personally navigate that? That's tricky as hell. And even stuff like, I mean, I'm sure that you've felt this way sometimes, right? Okay, so you're at the core of this super productive charitable thing, right? Over the years. And there's got to be at times a little almost like imposter syndrome thing, for lack of a better description, of like, hey, we're out here giving money for great causes and feeling great about it. And that money comes from somebody else, right? Not to make light of the blood, sweat, and tears that you and Andrea have sunk into this, because that piece is, I think, probably 10 times, 100 times larger than people ever realize what you guys have personally put into it. But at the same time, at the same time, it's like, how do you not feel a little weird about it, right? And just like I said, navigating that stuff emotionally, I think, has to be a big challenge. I applaud you for at least finding your path through it. I'm not sure everyone would deal with it well.
Yeah, Thank you. Yeah, if people saw like when people actually come here and they see like kind of where I live and how I work and, you know, my little dinky garage and, you know, like I'm in 1954 house with a,
Right.
you know, with a, you know, a funky overcrowded shop. And yeah, like there's nothing glamorous about it, you know? And so,
Right.
and when it's time to go, man, I am fucking hyper focused and I'm shitty to be around because I get super tense about wanting to get the task done and get the task done well. And so, yeah, it's been probably, it's fair to say it's been super unfair to my wife. We had a bunch of, you know, our vacations were always work vacations. You know, it was always like we were going somewhere. And while we were there, we were going to do this thing. But, you know, the flip side of that is that I have an absolutely amazing people in my life that, I wouldn't have known, you know. I mean, I've got, you know, for fuck's sake, I've got all you guys for whatever that's worth. But, you know, like, you know, guys like Derek and Pruitt, like, you know, Pruitt and I are, like it's mental how dumb we are together. It's like stepbrothers.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude.
Oh, he is. He's a fucking great guy. Yeah, you know, but there's a lot of guys. Like, I know I could show up just on well, maybe not Birch's doorstep, but, you know, I could show up and, you know,
picky.
like, he is picky, but, you know, like Fellholter, like I tease him a lot, but an immense amount of respect. I got to spend, you know, Jeremy Marsh was one of the early guys and has still over the years, every now and then will, you know, like do a pig and wants to do a thing. We've done some soapbox derby races there in Michigan, you know, I had a chance to go me and Jeremy built fly rods
that looked
this spring
awesome,
up in Michigan. Dude, yeah, we built bamboo fly rods and it was fucking amazing. And, you know, to have somebody open their home for a week and let you, you know, work in their shop and, you know, that's the week where, you know, their kids getting ready to graduate high school and like they've got a full life, you know, like life going on. Annie's got a business and, you know, like I would have never had that opportunity had it not been for, you know, this nonsense I've done. And so there's tons of guys on that list. I'm sure there's tons of names that I didn't mention, but, you know, there's a core group of guys that, for better or worse, have been around me for 20 years that I know if push came to shove, I could call them up and be like, hey, man, I need to sleep in your garage for a couple of days, man, on my way across country. They'd fucking open the doors and they'd make me cook, but, you know, there's that.
Dude,
but they don't need
cook. I mean, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Sean's still been amazingly quiet. Did his mic just shit out and die?
I tried to answer earlier, but my mic was fucked up at the cord.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say, dude, your memory of those early days is so much fucking better than mine.
Right. But I mean, like I try to remember like where the name Hate Desk came from. And I want to say that it was a conversation between me and Jeremy and we were talking about your mouth's going to hate you and your butt's going to hate you and that kind of thing. But, but I think I said something to Sean and literally, I don't know if Sean remembers the phone call, but it was, I said something to him like, you don't strike me as the kind of guy that's going to want to sit there and fucking glad hand 100 people to sell these fucking tags. Like, you should just let me do it for you. And there was this like weird pause and he was like, yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, I was willing to do it, but you know,
something like that. Like, you don't want to deal with this. Let me deal with this.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think the core thing, you just ping down a lot of it, but like the N part of USN, right? The network piece and the relationships, and it sounds super sappy and cliche to say, but I tell people pretty regularly, you know, I have this group of friends and I am a different man than I would have been without them. Right. I mean, I
absolutely
developed into a different person. I like to think a better person. But, you know, but like you learn a lot from people and it's like having, no kidding, a huge bunch of brothers, half brothers, step brothers, twin brothers. It doesn't matter, right?
Crazy bunch of stepbrothers that
and
have this weird connecting line.
Exactly. And that
I think
absolutely, like you said, you need a place to sleep. Come on, right? Let's go. I don't need to know why.
There's guys I've gone shooting with where they've looked over at the gun I'm shooting. They're like, "What the fuck is that?" And I get this big grin on my face, because for a while, like I just super loved going shooting. I'm not great at it. I have horrible eyesight. But if you guys remember when Billy was still working for, I'm going to draw a blank on it. Rifle Dynamics.
Yeah.
And he was building AKs. Billy built an AK for us, and it had my logos on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, when am I ever in Rifle Dynamics, for those of you that don't know, we're building, $3,000 AKs. Like, I don't know if they are now, but at Billy's peak, like that's what they were. Like they would put up a gun for auction and it would go for $3,000 plus. And so Billy built this gun with my logos. And I was like, I looked at it for like 2.5 days at this auction and I was just staring at it and I was like, when the fuck am I ever going to have an opportunity to have a gun with my logos on it? This is before like the laser commonplace days, right?
Right.
And so I was looking at it and literally for like 2-3 days, like going into that third day for sure. So 2 days have passed and I look at it and I go to bid and my wife, Andrea, is like, you should just do it. Just do it. I get it. Do it. And I'm like, I'm going to bid on my own gun. And right when I go to bid, some guy bids before me and I don't realize it. And I bid on top of the guy. And then I felt like an idiot. And I was like, oh man, people are going to like dogpile me. And like, I don't want to do that to this guy. This guy is literally like putting out $3,000 of his own money. I'm like, and I called Bill and I said, hey, we got to take my bid off there. And so I had this big, like goofy, like, you fucking dumbass. You should have just bid on it. You should have been selfish. And I was like, no, it's not. This guy really wants a gun. He's going to have my logos. Fuck, that's super cool. Somebody's willing to do that. And so I tell this story to a guy we all name Ralph K, right? And Ralph K goes out and he set up a deal with CMT and we ended up doing a run of like billet lowers through CMT, which is cross machining tool, with like my logos on them. They're fucking super rad. So now I don't have one gun with my logos. Now I have two. And so like I'd never had that fucking opportunity had I not had these guys, kind of in my circle. Like,
yeah.
There are pigs out there with guys that I super respect that are artists, what they do are super good at what they do. There's a David Ricardo. Dude, David Ricardo has a fucking cult model, right? Like, and there's a David Ricardo pig, there's these guys that are, all of you, super popular as makers to know that, your guys' names are on pieces like that. And that all those pieces were super bitch. And it's super cool. It's super, it was a super neat time and it continues to be. Like I still do pieces. I would love to go back to just doing the annual sale thing and having just like a hell week that, rather than kind of nickel and dime the year away.
Right.
And so that's probably going to be my format next year. I'll reach out to a couple guys and a couple of the old school guys and just say, hey man, let's do it like the old days.
Throwing it back.
Throw it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, Mark, I'm going to need your mom's number. 300 levels.
Right. Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So anyways.
So we, that was a really good walk through that whole hate project thing. I think it's fascinating for people who haven't been around it. The magnitude of it was and is just outstanding. And so, Rob, if people want to see, like you said, the list of stuff that the organization has supported, they can do that on the website.
Yeah. So main.thehateproject.com. If you just type the hate project, like it'll come up if you, And so there's trying to see. I'm just going to type right now. There we go. If I just start to type MA, it just automatically comes up on my thing. So there's a donate button on the front page, and it's got our our 501c3. We're when I had to pay taxes on money I gave away, I filed with the feds and
got to do it.
So I have an independent person that does our taxes and stuff. That does taxes for a bunch of nonprofits in Southern California and stuff. So they look out for us. So there's a tab on there that says supported groups and events, and it you can see a commercial we did there a couple years ago for Ronald McDonald House, and you see the list. Easy kind of peasy, and so
people can get information that way, and the Facebook group is still an active, ongoing thing. Right?
Facebook group is the Hate Dust, one word, Hate Dust, cram it together, the Hate Dust Project.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the hell I am on Instagram. I'm horrible about Instagram, but I still post on Instagram sometimes. And the Hate Dust Project, all one word on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All the things. So we're the pocket shrapnel, bottom feeder EDC charity guy. There you go.
Don't underestimate yourself, buddy. So we always do fun questions at the end. Birch, you want to ask one?
Yeah. Well, one I got to ask is like, people may not know, or they probably do because that's all you do now is fish and post photos of fishing.
He's retired. He's supposed to do nothing but fishing.
What was your favorite fish you caught this year?
So I had last year I started focusing on fly fishing, which was totally foreign to me. And so I fished 65 days on fly last year. I'm over 70 this year, despite I had 2 gnarly infections take me out of the water this year. So I had cellulitis. I had a leg infection that they're talking about amputating my legs. So that was pretty crappy. And then I had I'm super allergic to poison oak. And so each one of those has taken me out of the water for a month during kind of my primetime days. Otherwise I probably would have hit 100 this year. But anyways, I'm going to say 2 things. I had an opportunity to go to this lake north of Reno, Nevada, called Pyramid Lake. It's out on an Indian reservation. It's brackish water. It's salty water. Mm-hmm. I caught a 15-pound Lahontan cutthroat out there. That was super rad, man. If you've ever caught there's not a lot of guys on the planet that have caught a 15-pound fucking trout on a fly rod. And so that was pretty special, man. It took me to the back end a couple times and was just a crazy, batshit crazy fight. And that was super fun. And then I went to a place called Lake Almanor, which is in Northern California, and they had a mayfly hatch. And so mayflies look like a worm with wings. And so, in the Midwest and out your guys' way, you see those. Well, in California, there's only 2 places where that happens, and it's like a 3-week window. And so Lake Almanor, these mayflies, they sit in this clay-like soil on the shore for 3 years. The larvae grows, and then there's this little window where they get wings. They kind of flutter up to the surface. They flap around on the surface till their wings dry, and then they flap in the trees. And then the females realize that they're dying, 2-3 days later, and they drop in a spiral circle and they spread their eggs all over the bank. And it starts to cycle over again. And so if you can be there to fish during this mayfly hatch, it's batshit crazy. But they don't come out until, dusk. So you're fishing in the dark and you can hear fish like snapping at the water and stuff. But I caught 2 browns that were, 24, 28 inch brown. Like they were monster fucking browns on fly. Super rad. So that's probably like my best fishing experience this year.
Super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, super weird thing for California for sure.
What about movie knife? Favorite movie knife? We always ask that one.
Yeah, so I would say I'm gonna get the wrong movie. What was the James Bond movie where and people always say that they're automatic knives and they're not automatic knives, they're gravity knives. Like 80s, Roger Moore. I'm gonna look real quick.
Ballistic knife?
Yeah. No, not a ballistic, not where they come out. As soon as I say it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that James Bond movies. It was like 81, 82. It was. Was it the man? No, was it The Spy Who Loved Me or For Your Eyes Only? For Your Eyes Only, where the guy's the dude drops his arm right out of the sleeve, and you can hear the blade set. It's kind of like if you've ever had like an OTF knife, right, with the spring, but you could hear the knife slide in the handle, and then it locks.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they weren't ballistic, they weren't spring loaded, but yeah, like, I mean, we all grew up in the Rambo generation, but I didn't really like. I just remember hearing the knife come out in the guy's sleeve and his hand dropping down. The knife was there, and the blade, and there's you can see the knife like kind of locking into place. I always thought that was super cool. Or what was the one with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro?
Oh, The Hunted.
Yeah, The Hunted with were those Winklers?
No, that was a Beck, wasn't it?
Yeah, Beck. There we go. Yeah.
And a rock. A Beck and a rock.
There you go. Yeah. Nice. So, yeah, I don't think, I don't know what the knife was that Hannibal Lecter used cutting the sweetbreads, but I was always a kitchen knife guy anyway. So
right.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
that was a wild book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Tom, you got one?
Anyways. Yeah, I've got a question for you, Rob.
Yeah, buddy.
Now that you kind of have your own shop in your garage, what's your favorite tool? What are you enjoying the most?
Yeah, I've done so much shit with fucking lasers and stuff lately, but I'll tell you the tool, and then I'll just tell you I don't use it anymore. For a while, I was turning bowls, and I had a big bowl chisel that was a Charles. What's his name? Out of England. The name's gonna escape me. But anyways, I had this big bowl chisel to turn wooden bowls, and I had bought a padded carbon fiber handle that was 30 inches long, and you could put it on your hip, and you could fucking lean into that fucking bowl gouge.
Oh yeah. Right.
And man, you could lever it, and dude, it was bitching. And I called it Excalibur. And this one day, man, I'd had this bowl that I'd started turning, and I was sitting on a rest under it, and I just never came back to it. In summer, I didn't seal it, and summer had set in. And one day I was like, hey man, I should fuck around with that big old chunk of black walnut, and and it had kind of dried too much, and my dumbass didn't sharpen the bowl gouge, and I started leaning into it, and I caught a dull edge.
Oh.
And the fucking the gouge goes into the bowl. Old Excalibur comes up, busts me in the jaw, right? The big carbon fiber handle comes up, busts me in the jaw, right? And as it's doing, and this is fractions of a second. The gouge goes in, right? Catches, comes up, shatters my thing. The bowl comes around, catches the gouge again, only now it's on the gouge is on the rest, and it shoves it down, but my hand is, and I'm a big guy, my hand's on top of the gouge, and so now the bowl grenades off of the chuck and hits me in the head.
Oof.
And I wake up to my bloodhound, that was Zeke, that was 3 bloodhounds ago. I wake up to Zeke the hillbilly standing over me like, "What'd you do, dumbass?" You know,
Right.
and he's kind of sitting there kind of drooling on me and looking at me.
Wow.
And I knocked myself out in the shot, but I loved the tool. I loved turning bowls at the time. But I realized that I need to be more steadfast about tool sharpening, and it really freaked me out waking up. Like I have no idea how long I was out, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It fucks you up,
Terrifying.
waking up to a dog licking your face and staring at you, and then realizing like nobody knew I was there, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it was all bad. So, but I still love the tool. I still love gouges, wood turning gouges and stuff, and chisels, and yeah.
Your bloodhound was like, yeah, that's blood, all right.
Yeah, dumbass. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
blood.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was nutty. So, yeah.
Rob, we really appreciate you again taking the time to sit down with us. A good conversation. It was really, really good to walk through some of that. I think all of us at some point here in this conversation, all 5 of us probably, were like, oh, yeah, that's that did happen. Or
Fun walk down memory lane.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sure there's tons of people I probably should have thanked that I just didn't. It's just because like the breadth of what has happened over the years is nutty. But hopefully, I said a couple folks heard their names and know that I appreciate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure seeing you at shows, man.
Yep.
It never fails. So yeah.
All right. Well, we want to say thanks again to our friends on Patreon, the guys at Giant Mouse, and our pals at Arizona Custom Knives. Thanks for all of your support, and thanks, Rob, for talking with us. And we'll wrap this one up. We'll talk to everybody next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks all.
Take care, folks.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine in his Facebook group Crine Knives or on Instagram at Crine Knives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram at birchtreeblades. For my own projects, I'm on the web at raygundivision.com or check my personal Instagram at msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or discussion about the show itself, you can always find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram at Mark of the Maker. Last but not least, credit for the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show. This is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. And as always, thanks for listening.